Joining us live now is Seattle University Associate Professor of American Politics, Dr. Patrick Schoettmer. Thank you very much for joining us. So, Trump said there is no deal until there is a deal. He's going to talk to NATO leaders and Zelensky. What did you make of their announcement?
I'm not really very surprised. I think in a lot of ways it's reminiscent of the 2018-2019 meetings that he had with Kim Jong-un. Trump has a strong belief in his own ability to be a deal maker, so he likes to go in early and make begin the conversation rather than what's the usual protocol of waiting till the end to wrap things up and having lower level diplomats work out all the hard details.
Were you expecting any kind of ceasefire announcement?
I was not. We hadn't really gotten any indication, I think, from the White House that they felt one was imminent going into the meeting, although I think, you always hear some hopeful noises coming from the White House. But the fact that the Republican caucus itself is still divided over how to approach Ukraine didn't give me a lot of confidence that Trump was going in with a clear vision on how to end the conflict.
A much shorter than expected meeting, and the press were unable to ask questions to both presidents. How unusual is that?
That's particularly for Trump, that's fairly unusual. Trump is a fairly loquacious individual and he loves the media spotlight. So he is usually very loath to avoid media pressers after these big events. We did see some friendly comments coming from the two leaders, but the fact that they didn't want to take any questions, or the fact that Trump in particular didn't want to take any questions, suggests that it probably didn't go as well as even he was hoping.
All right, so what's next? We're going to hear Trump talk about the conversation, no doubt, with NATO leaders and Vladimir Zelensky. What are you anticipating here?
Well, I'm sure that regardless of what actually went on in the meeting, the Russian media will hail this as a victory of some sort. As for Trump, Trump has already pledged to meet with speak with European leaders. He's pledged to try to organize a second meeting with Putin and Zelensky simultaneously, or at least bilateral meetings at the same time. So I'm sure he'll work towards that as well. And as for the rest of the Republican Party, I think that they'll continue their row over what direction the party should be taking without, clear direction about which way Trump himself is leaning.
And what did you make of Vladimir Putin's comments? And were you reading between any lines here? Or what kind of dialogue did you pull out of it?
I think that Putin is showing yet again that he's an effective handler of President Trump. You saw him agreeing with a lot of Trump's comments, like, for example, Putin's comments that the 2022 war probably wouldn't have happened if Trump had been in office at that point. These sorts of things, I think, are good relationship building between the two men, but I don't think they're ultimately particularly consequential for dealing with the larger issue beyond showing that Putin is willing to play Trump's game.
All right, and tell us about the importance of what the response will be from NATO leaders and Zelensky moving forward.
I think that as we watch how things are going to be playing out, I think Putin has had his attempt to make a pitch to Trump. I think we'll see European leaders renew their effort to make sure that Trump more or less sticks into the direction that he was going. He did come in originally as a critic of Ukraine. We remember the fairly disastrous meeting earlier this year between Zelensky and Trump in the White House. But Trump has been moving in the Ukrainian direction since then. And I think European leaders will work to try to press and maintain that movement, given the non-result coming out of Alaska.
And we hear that Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin have had a strong relationship. It was mentioned in that conference. How do you see their relationship?
I think Trump probably genuinely likes him. I can't, of course, speak to President Putin's views on Trump beyond the fact that he feels like he's someone he could work with. President Trump has a much more transactional view of international politics than previous administrations have had. And he's shown that he's willing to buck traditional American foreign policy stance. So I think Putin feels like Trump is the president that he could work with most, and Trump for himself probably feels like Putin is given the relationship, he feels like if he has a good connection with someone, he could, in the end, persuade anyone to do what he wants.
All right, and there's talk about secondary sanctions and other, implementations that Trump could potentially put forward to Russia. What would be some of the main ones that you see potentially playing out?
I think that the main ones we see are secondary sanctions, particularly against China and India. We saw the move to impose an additional 25% tariff on India, which obviously did not get a good reaction from Modi. I think the other potential move that we could see is Trump expanding the program he developed last month, I believe it was, where European allies and NATO members will purchase weapons from the U.S. for transfer to Ukraine. That would allow Trump to technically meet his campaign goal not to provide additional weapons directly to Ukraine, while still increasing Ukraine's armament stockpiles and ability to defend itself. The tension there, however, is that House Republicans and Senate Republicans have very different views on how supportive the U.S. should be of Ukraine, with Senate Republicans being much more hawkish and in favor of a fairly expansive weapon package going to Ukraine, while House Republicans generally are much more reticent to get more involved.
Dr. Patrick Schoettmer, always appreciate your time and analysis. Thank you.
Anytime.